Welcome to the Brian Maples podcast. Today is, I don't know what day it is. I think it's the 4th. Yes, April the 4th here in Stanley County, coming at you from the church at Autumn Forest here in the city of Albemarle. So there is some news that has come in today. The Court of Appeals has released their opinion from the Griffin v. Riggs and North Carolina State Board of Elections case. And we're going to talk about that because it's important. It'll probably go to the Supreme Court. I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't followed the procedural issues on it. But nonetheless, let's talk about what has happened thus far. Griffin is someone who was running for office for the North Carolina Supreme Court. He's a Republican. And Riggs is the Democrat who is running against him for the Supreme Court of North Carolina. And Riggs won by 724 votes approximately, so very close race. But there is alleged by Griffin to be somewhere upwards of 60,000 plus illegal votes. So here we are with an election rigging case. The court ruled in favor of Griffin. Here's why, and here's why this is important for us here in North Carolina. First of all, I have to tell you, it's hilarious that the guy's name is Riggs. I mean, of all names to have, you're accused. He's not accused. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong here. He's not accused of rigging it, but the various twists and turns. There's a lot of illegal votes that the Court of Appeals has just determined. So this is one of the first cases to really be heard in our modern political environment about potentially illegal votes and rigging. What has happened is, as I said, Griffin purportedly lost. Now it doesn't look like he lost. He was saying you've counted a bunch of illegal votes, 60,000 plus. It has skewed the outcome. Very simple argument. The Democrat candidate, Riggs, on the left, has essentially said they should all be counted. Blah, blah, blah. We can't disenfranchise voters. And I don't mean blah, blah, blah as disrespectful. We as conservatives and Christians, we need to hear the left because, one, sometimes they might be right. Right now, it doesn't look like it. You know my position on stuff like this. But sometimes we have to stay humble. We have to stay humble and hear what they're saying. And I found their arguments to be less than compelling. There were several judges that dissented in this case. So essentially, it was people voting. Some were not even residents of North Carolina, but there is a general statute and some little loopholes that allow people that are not citizens of North Carolina to vote in North Carolina elections if their parents are here. And I'm not getting into the minutia of that, but that's basically what one of the arguments was. The other was there was, again, alleged upwards of over 60,000 people that didn't provide ID, driver's license information. And in North Carolina, you have to present ID. And there were a bunch that didn't produce, even the last 4 digits of their social security number. So they're unverifiable. We don't know if they're real voters or not. And under North Carolina law, as of now, per the Court of Appeals, that matters. There were others that were purportedly military overseas voting and things of that nature. But so those are where the quote unquote illegal votes, the unlawful votes came from. And we had a Supreme Court candidate, Mr. Griffin, Justice Griffin, that I don't know if I can call him Justice yet, but nonetheless, Mr. Griffin, he challenged it. This is something that we didn't get back in the 2020 elections and even the 2022 elections. someone finally challenged it. The same arguments kind of countered that from the left, which were, and this is the judges, that were dissenting on this thing. They said, you didn't provide evidence of illegal voting. I don't know why that doesn't compute that it is evidence, in my opinion, that when you have people that don't provide ID, don't provide social security numbers, no identifying, you can't just have all these, mysterious people or we think they may be people voting in your elections. It's too easy to cheat. Mr. Riggs should understand it's too easy to rig the election. Obviously, he wanted to win, and so he's going to argue his side. I'm not accusing him personally of anything. I don't know him. I don't really know much about him. But hopefully in North Carolina, the times of saying, it's impossible to have election fraud are over, and they should be. It never really made sense to the logical human mind, the critical thinker, to say, it just doesn't happen. We know illegal voting happens. We're just finding out through Doge that there was 400,000 Social Security numbers given out or sold by probably one individual or one organization. 40% of the people who call in to make claims of Social Security are not even American citizens. We were paying people that were 300 years old to vote, to get Social Security. These are actual findings and facts that we're finding as we pull things apart. Those are the federal level, but this is state level. 60,000 illegal votes. So where this is going to go, I don't know. Could this cause recounts in the gubernatorial election, the governor election? Could this cause recounts for, assembly members, the North Carolina General Assembly? Don't know all the repercussions. This case just dropped, and I just scanned it and got some of the vitals real quick on it. So I was pretty excited that the right stood up, and it was not easy. They fought tooth and nail to prevent this from happening, and the left is fuming about it. Now, I was reading some comments, even the judges' dissents. It concerns me that in our legal system, we have judges that think so politically. I think that it's time to just put it to rest that the judiciary, the courts, are non-political. I don't believe that anymore. I just got even arbitration. I just finished an arbitration case, which I can't talk about, but nonetheless, they don't seem to believe anything. They just kind of rule the way that they want to rule. And in this particular case, I didn't get ruled against, but I also didn't get ruled for, and so I was a little annoyed with that. But nonetheless, all that aside, we have issues with our courts. And the left is a revolutionary force now. They may not have been 10 years ago. They may not have been 20 years ago. Some elements were. And when I say this stuff, I'm not saying Republicans are perfect. I don't even like the Republicans. I prefer American. But nonetheless, we can't be oblivious to the fact that we have a revolutionary force primarily mobilized on the left that doesn't give a crap about the law. And the law has become so complex that you can pretty much make the law say whatever you want to say, especially if you're a judge. You can rule either way. I mean, you can find a way. You can find a reason. You can find a technicality. You can find a policy issue. There's so many ways philosophically that you can just rule however you want. So we really do have to watch our judges, and this is a win for the right. This is a win for America First. And this affects us here in Stanley County, Albemarle, and beyond. This is more of a North Carolina issue, but this may embolden other states to challenge those elections when you have reason to. The fact that the left closes their eyes and says, and stomps and says, no, there's no evidence of it. You have to bring evidence of fraud. Just because there's people that didn't comply with the law and provide ID doesn't mean they're a fraud. They want you to prove it before trial even. This is one of the things that we kept running into in 2020 with the Trump election issue, is the courts were just kicking it out saying, no, you didn't convince us. You didn't even have a trial. And it gives the left these revolutionary talking points where they say, this was thrown out of, X amount of courts, 200 courts or whatever, and it was thoroughly debunked. And no, it never went to trial. It's trickery. That's the problem with the left, is they constantly are trying to trick people. They don't care if they can win on the merits. They don't seem to care if they can win by facts. It's like the little boy who cried wolf. Eventually, maybe the left says something correct every now and then, but who in the world would believe them? Only people that are going to believe them are people who want to believe them, because it's more of a spiritual thing. It's more of a spiritual issue that we're having in this country. Of the facts are more of an excuse. They seem to try and give someone the high ground, so that, if the facts are in your favor, yeah, you're on the high ground. But if the facts are not in your favor, it doesn't really matter. You're going to argue against them. And some of that comes from a perversion of law school and the legal argumentation and debate is, why not just argue if you want revolution and you want change, why not just fight for it? Just drill down it. If the facts are on your side, use them. If they're not, fight it. It's what attorneys are taught to a degree. But nonetheless, positive case for North Carolina. We are now, and so the result is essentially these folks that are potentially illegal voters, unlawful voters, they're given 15 days to cure their issue. So they get mailed out, something with a QR scan on it, and you can go and you can correct or cure your ballot. So it opens the door to, if someone did vote correctly, but for whatever reason they didn't provide their driver's license number, social security number, some kind of verifying information, they can cure that. It is curable here in North Carolina, per the Court of Appeals. The left is arguing, oh, that's too difficult. Haven't we heard that before? Oh, it's too difficult for someone to scan a QR code and go on and cure their vote. And they can call their local board of elections and get assistance on curing their vote. I mean, they can do that. The problem is the right side doesn't believe those people are real. And so there's not going to be anybody calling in and curing. If they do, they're going to commit identity theft or break some other law above and beyond or in addition to election law, and they're probably going to get busted. So it's not likely that most of those people are going to be able to cure their vote. And it's much easier to audit. And so I don't think the left believes that there were that many voters either, because I don't think they'd be so upset about it. But one of the points is that we have to be aware of is people don't care who voters voted for. Voting is in their eyes is just an obstacle to be overcome. It's just something, if they can win legitimately, good. If not, we got to find a way around it, because they're hell-bent on revolution. This is a movement to fundamentally change the United States, to change the state of North Carolina, and even here in my own county, Stanley County, which is heavily red, but people that tend to be conservative, they don't have the time to do all these, community organizations, because they're out working. They're out not just providing. I'm not just talking about that mindset of just barely making it. I mean, they are chasing down dreams and they are going after it in life. And they want to leave wealth to their children and their children's children, which is a biblical and godly thing to do. It's wise. It's in the Bible. And so it's very difficult for them to do these community organizations, stuff like this. But so they're quiet, but we've got to start stepping up. We've got to save this country. And this is a big move, a big jump in North Carolina and Stanley County to stand up for what's right. You're not always going to lose. We got to stop letting the left steamroll Republicans just because we're busy. I know it's tough. It's tough because the responsibility of being an American is coming back onto Americans. We would like to just, go fish and never think about it. Go fishing, casting and reeling in. And it's good to do that stuff. You got to do that stuff sometimes. But sometimes, and it's not that often, seems like it sometimes, but we don't have elections all the time constantly. Sometimes we've got to go after it and get it. So I just wanted to update you all on the election case. The Court of Appeals opinion just dropped. There's going to be probably more to come out of it as it gets researched and studied more and stuff like that. But they have to cure the 60,000 votes or throw them out. And it's very likely with a small margin of 724 that we're probably going to have Republican Supreme Court justice. And again, that matters more than ever because the courts are political. The benefit, the bonus, why should our courts be Republican? Why should they be right? Why should they be conservative? Because one of the major differences between the right and the right will still rule for the left. And it is so annoying. We see it in Congress all the time. We get pissed when Republicans divide and, fraction out into different groups and stuff like this, but it's because they're principled. Now, we have to overcome that on some things, but nonetheless, Republicans are not, this revolutionary force that's so cohesive that they'll stop at nothing. They're not blue no matter who. It's not, red, even Ted. It's not, there's not a saying like that. The left accused the right of that all the time, saying, oh, Trump's a cult leader and all these people are in a cult. But we see people arguing with Trump all the time on the right. And Trump is leading the Republican Party, but there is dissent, and dissent is allowed. That's fine to a degree. We have to come together when we need to come together. But nonetheless, that's the difference, is a Republican judge isn't going to rule against the left just because it contravenes or contradicts a policy or movement of the right. But the left absolutely will. They will stop at nothing, and the sooner we realize that, the sooner we get that in our heads, the better prepared we'll be to deal with this stuff, and we'll understand the urgency. We'll understand why it is as diametrically opposed to right and left as they are. We'll realize these things, and we'll know these things. The left will stop at nothing to get their stuff done. So if we get a leftist judge in there, they will rule whether the law is this or that or the other. It doesn't matter. They will rule in accordance with their guiding light of leftist policies. So this was a big win, not just for the right. It was a big win for everyone, except for those who want revolution. God bless North Carolina. That was a good decision. I hope that the Supreme Court either doesn't hear it or agrees and affirms it. Thanks for watching the Brian Maples podcast here in Stanley County. It's a pleasure to keep you up to date. Pleasure to have you. And thanks for supporting as we're building Autumn Church. And I'll tell you about Autumn Church more soon, but it's not a building. It is a group of believers. It is a group of people that intermingle both online, in media, and we come together and meet in person as things get set up sometimes. But Rather than putting a bunch of money into our buildings, we're using that to create influence and be able to help people and be able to do powerful things in the community rather than just dumping it on ourselves. If you're interested, connect with Brian Maples' podcast, connect with Autumn Church, the church at Autumn Forest, Brian Maples podcast at gmail.com. Thanks again.